for taking the time to do this. I enjoyed your speech down there.
Thanks very much. Yeah.
So is it always like that when you travel, or are you always swamped like that with the fans?
Well, this is a kind of particular thing, these conventions. Yeah, it's nice.
So you're crazy about travel, huh? Which I think a lot of people here today can relate to. How many places have you been? Do you keep track of like how many countries and cities? And
Oh, I have no idea. I don't keep track. Yeah, I just go.
good for you, because we were just saying so many people don't. I know this is kind of the obvious question, but do you have a favorite place, some place that really does it for you?
I don't. I've had great trips in lots of different places. I find myself returning to Ireland over and over. I have family and stuff there. But no, I love lots of places. I've had great experiences in Africa, Asia, all over. I think I have. The next place is my favorite, as they say.
Now, I love to travel, but and people say, oh, you go wherever. But look, I go to Europe, and I feel like Europe is easier, it's safe. But there are the people who do, like the extreme or the danger travel, the world's dangerous places. Are you that kind of a guy? Are you looking for the extreme travel? Or, like, for instance, I probably won't be going to Afghanistan anytime soon, but is that your thing, or?
No, I think going to Europe's fantastic. I just was in Vienna. I loved Europe. I think it's, great. I don't go, looking for the most dangerous place. No, but I don't not go places because I think they might be unsafe. I think most places in the world are pretty safe and pretty welcoming. So I would, encourage people to do that. Yeah, but I don't look for trouble.
And kind of on that note, but just one last question along that line. Are there any places that you don't want to go or wouldn't want to go back to, or just didn't really do it for you?
I'm pretty curious about most places. I can't think of one place that I wouldn't want to go to offhand. No. I'm pretty game.
Now, the other thing is sometimes when people travel, there's kind of a debate about taking precautions or not. Like, I feel like, obviously you travel a lot, you get out there, you're just kind of savvy when you are a traveler. But then sometimes people will say, oh, it's just the media, it's hype, don't worry about it. Like even earlier when one was asking about Morocco and stuff. How do you balance wanting to get out there and seeing things, but yet maybe taking precautions, or do you just, everything will be fine? How do you deal with that side? Especially maybe if you're with your kids.
Well, when I'm not going to go into Iraq with my kids right now, But I think the world is a pretty safe place generally, and a pretty welcoming place, and very welcoming to Americans generally. You can go lots of places where they don't particularly agree with our government, but they're able to separate our government from the people, which is something that most of the world does a lot better than Americans do. I think Americans sort of lump people in with their governments and sort of, oh, you're from there, you're this, and I think most of the world actually doesn't do that. So I don't shy away from places.
So short of being arrested in Ethiopia, I believe, you've never really had a bad experience on the road?
I've had lots of experiences where I'm like, oh man, what am I doing? I want to go home. But have I? No, I don't think I have. I generally find the world a pretty welcoming place. You just use your common sense and use your your spidey sense and kind of go, I don't want to go down that street. And you don't. But other than that, no, I find the world very welcoming.
One thing I think a lot of people who do travel wonder, as we were saying kind of on the way up here, is, do you have a feeling about why Americans don't travel? Because such a small percentage even have passports, as the speaker, or the guy from the LA Times was saying. Why don't people travel? Why don't Americans travel?
Well, that's my whole thing. I think Americans are a very fearful country. The Americans are afraid of the world, frankly. And we use the excuse that, and it's true, America's a very big place, and there are lots of amazing things right here to go see. You can go to Florida, to the Grand Canyon, to Alaska, and you're all in America, and you see all sorts of diverse things. But one of the main reasons to go traveling is to experience a different culture. And so Americans, I think, are very insular and very fearful, and so we don't go. And I think it's a shame. Like I said, I think the world would be a very different place if Americans got out and saw it, and got out and traveled, and were not so judgmental and insular.
Well, one other thing that people sometimes say is, I travel a lot by myself sometimes, and people always say, oh, you're traveling alone. So I love that when you said downstairs, you actually, that's your favorite way to travel, is alone or by yourself a lot of the times? Yeah,
I enjoy traveling alone. I think you meet people and you're forced to depend on, the kindness of strangers in a way that is very, it's a good thing for people to make themselves vulnerable in that way. And I really enjoy traveling alone. I love traveling with my family too, but it's a different experience. And when you're on your own, you can be free and loose and just go wherever you want when you want. You can take up an invitation. You can do different things. And I think I'm not particularly afraid of being lonely, which I think some people are afraid to do. Being lonely is part of life at moments. So and I think that passes. You meet people, you encounter things. So I think traveling alone is a great sort of growth instrument and a great fun.
Does it help or hurt being an actor, having the whole celebrity thing going on too, when you're traveling?
Sometimes I meet people and they recognize me, so it opens up doors that might not be opened. So I think that's nice. But yeah, I think that it's only ever been a positive thing for me. Yeah.
And finally, I hear you're headed off to Patagonia next.
I am going to Patagonia next week. Yeah.
We'll have fun there. I've never been there, but
I've never been either, and I'm looking forward to it.
well, thank you, sir. I really appreciate it.
Yeah, thank you. Pleasure.